most broken people.
Okay, friends, welcome back. This is part 2 of this Black Panther Wakanda Forever. This is the second movie to that. I'm just examining the thing, man. I'm looking to understand, what is this all about? Is it worth my money and my time? And the second thing I'm also doing is to share, what is the heart of this thing? Where is this going? And again, I'm not telling you what to do. You can make your own choice. You are a grown individual who's watching this channel, so therefore you do as you please with your money. God is the judge. I am not. Here is the thing that I'm looking to also achieve here, is to get into the heart of what is happening in the hope we can learn something, and learn something along with the truth of the Bible. Now, by the way, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more of my notification upload. Every thumb matter. Now, here's the one thing I've spoke about in the last time we've met, and we spoke about how this Wakanda Forever Black Panther movie, it seems that they weren't representing men very well. 70% of what was going on were just women. You know, it was just seems to be a women empowerment type of movie, very feminist, very woke driven, where it seems like the male that were in the previous movie were sugar-coated and downplayed and pushed aside and ostracized in a corner somewhere, and the focus was much more on the women. Some people have no issue with that. Some think it's great, and I'm gonna say I don't think it's wrong to have women in a movie that are actively doing great and amazing things. But I take an issue with the men being made to look foolish. I don't care if you lift up the women, but also lift up the men, because that's how you have a balance in our society. But it seems as though that's not what was happening in the movie. But before I jump into conclusion, what I wanted to do today is to listen to a review once again from, his name is Layman Journal. I have put a link in the description of this video. Check out his content. He's got something good going on in his channel, so go show him some love. Now, this is part 2. Layman now, in part 1, I've used part of his video where he addressed how he felt based on somebody else's interpretation and what he's heard about the movie. Now, Layman's Journal went to actually see the movie, he's gonna tell you what he saw. And I did not see this video. I wanted to wait so that I can watch this along with you and give you my honest and serious reaction to this. So I hope you're ready. Without further ado, let's now get into the heart of the message.
Just like with the first film, there is so much woman power in this film. We see it through the trailer. We see it all over the place. What is it like being a female genius and like the greatest warrior in the world?
I wasn't happy with my initial review of Wakanda Forever because it gave the impression that I liked the film. I didn't, because there were things that I did enjoy about the movie. I thought it was well done, but the story was dog water. It was garbage. And it frustrated me making the first review because everything wrong with the film was related to the story. The script was bad, so I couldn't really criticize the movie like I wanted to without giving away spoilers. I felt muzzled. I felt limited when I gave my spoiler-free review. But I understand that most people don't like to have...
Do you notice something in a lot of these movies where women are like the warriors, they are the one fighting the wars? They oftentimes beat the man down like crazy. But that's not real. That's Hollywood. In real life, men don't get beat down like that by women. Now, there are some cases where this happened, but in most cases, listen, an average woman cannot beat the average man. All right. It's just that genetically we were not built the same way. God did it this way. And we were not meant to be killing each other either, beating on each other. But Hollywood wants to make it look like these women are so strong and so powerful they can beat every man. Yeah, okay. That's not real. Let's be real now. Let's be fair. Women are not meant to be beating on us, and we are not supposed to be beating on our women. We're supposed to be loving on them, and they're supposed to be submitting to us. And that's the way it was meant to be in the Bible. If you have an issue with that, please take your argument with God.
Spoilers in their reviews, which is why I did it the way that I did the first time. So what I'm going to do here is a spoiler-filled review, where I won't be bound by such restrictions. So what you're going to get here is my full-throated opinion, without the worry of saying anything that may ruin the movie for people who haven't seen it. There will be major spoilers. So let's go. Here's everything wrong with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. My first issue is, this movie destroys everything the first Black Panther stood for. The first Black Panther was about fatherhood. T'Challa was grieving the loss of his father, the king before him. He was also having issues in confidence. He didn't think he was worthy to sit on his father's throne. Killmonger was grieving the loss of his father and wanted to avenge him. Both of these men were trying to live up to their father's standard. Good or bad, it was about strong men in leadership. But this movie, the sequel, Wakanda Forever, has no men. T'Challa is dead. Killmonger is dead. And M'Baku is reduced to a clown. And to make matters even worse, they make T'Challa a baby daddy. That's right. The noble king has a secret child out of wedlock. He and Nakia have a baby, a son, being raised alone by Nakia on the other side of the world in Haiti. That's the post-credit scene.
In Haiti? Oh, that's interesting, because I was born and raised in Haiti. Wow, what a switch. What a change. So we got rid of the men. We kicked them out. Wow. That is crazy. You have to understand the human mind and the subconscious and frontal lobe and how it operates. Watching a movie like this empowers women to treat their men like this in real life. Some women who are not mad at this, I'm telling you, this is seed to destroy your home. You will destroy your home. You will trample up on your man. You will kill your family. And then you're going to sit back at the end of the road and say, Lord, what have I done? What did I just do? You don't have to listen to me. Just listen to other women who's been through that.
The reason why they did that is because they didn't want him to be raised in Wakanda under the pressure of the throne.
That don't make no sense!
So that he wouldn't see what it meant to be a king. That is the complete opposite of the original movie. The original movie was about the importance of fathers raising their sons, calling them into their purpose, and showing them their birthright. A mother raising a child alone without a dad, that was how Killmonger was raised, by a single mother outside of Wakanda without his father, and it made him a terrible king. So there's no way in the world T'Challa would do that. He wouldn't hide his son, raise him away from the throne, nor would he make his mother's son a single mother. He would have made her his queen. Even Namor, the villain, didn't have a father. They gave you a long background about his mother and what happened to her, but there was no mention of his father. And that was the focal point of the entire movie. Single mothers and their children. It was Queen Ramonda and Shuri, Namor and his mom. Those were the crucial connections. There were no dads, no men allowed. Then it was the way they handled the death of T'Challa. The movie starts with a cold opening, and it really happens off camera. All you really see is Shuri scrambling in the lab, trying to hurry up and come up with a cure.
All right, so these are some of the cast. Okay, well, at least we have 4 men in here. You know, still more women, but at least we have 4 men. I can handle that. Let's keep going.
She was trying to create a synthetic heart herb to save him, but by the time she was able to do it, it was too late. He had died and she couldn't do anything to save him. And to make matters worse, there was only a 30% chance that she could. Now, from a movie-making perspective, it was a great scene. It was an emotional scene. It was executed perfectly. It pulled you in emotionally. And afterwards, the funeral was beautiful and tastefully done. But it didn't make sense story-wise. They didn't explain what killed him. They just said it was a mysterious disease, which doesn't make sense because Black Panther is supposed to have supernatural powers and abilities.
Good.
He's not supposed to just die of natural.
That's good observation. Good observation right here. Yeah, how did you make a switch from that which was before to now? We know what happened to the man in real life, but at least if you were going to touch this subject, you had to come up with something better, right?
Causes or get sick. The heart-shaped herb, the purple flower that he drank from, is supposed to make him impervious to disease. If you remember in the first movie, Killmonger throws him over a cliff, but it was the herb that saved his life. So how could it fail him now? They don't explain that. But the thing that baffles me the most about his death is that T'Challa knew it was coming. You see, not only in the post-credit scene do they reveal the fact that he has a secret son with Nakia, but they also reveal that he knew he was dying. And he told Nakia he was dying. And he told his son that he had with Nakia that he was dying. And the three of them had some type of a living funeral with him where they celebrated his life. And that's why she didn't attend his funeral. And my question is this: why didn't he tell his sister? Why didn't he tell his mother? And we're talking about the MCU after all. Why didn't he go to Doctor Strange, Dr. Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, or even Wanda Maximoff for help, the Scarlet Witch? We also have the Fantastic Four coming into the MCU.
Well, good questions from within the movie's perspective. But you and I both know these are fictitious stories, you know. They don't have that kind of power, resurrecting power. No, you got to be Jesus to do that. But nevertheless, the reason for it is because it's not true. And again, they try. Hollywood try really hard to stretch the imagination as much as possible. But you and I both know it's a lot of facades, fiction, man-made stories, legends. But again, we watch for entertainment's sake, right? But in our hearts of heart, we know it's just crap.
Go to Mr. Fantastic. All those big brains, and he chose to keep it quiet and die alone. And that's the thing about this movie. There's a lot of stuff that happens that doesn't make sense. It was filled with plot holes. The movie overall is about the world trying to steal vibranium from Wakanda. You see, because T'Challa is dead, the Black Panther is gone, and the world seems to have the impression that the nation of Wakanda is weak. And so they're trying to find ways to steal vibranium from them. But the Talokans, Namor's people, they also have a massive reserve of vibranium. But unlike the Wakandans, they want to keep themselves secret. So in the first act of the movie, you see two scenes. One where the Wakandans and the Talokans catch French mercenaries and US miners trying to steal vibranium from them. And things escalate when Namor sneaks up on Ramonda and Shuri having a conversation in the bush.
Have many names. My people call me Khan, but my enemies call me Namor.
He comes out of the water and he basically blames T'Challa for the world's obsession with vibranium. His reasoning is T'Challa opened up Wakanda to the world, and by proxy letting them know about vibranium. And now because the world knows about vibranium, the world wants it. And the Americans have a scientist that built a vibranium detecting device. And because it was T'Challa that opened up Wakanda to the world, it should be Wakanda's responsibility to kill or capture the scientist responsible for making the device. As a matter of fact, he asks them to go capture the scientist and turn him or her over to the Talokans, to Namor. But the Wakandans, specifically Queen Ramonda and Shuri, don't want to do that because they find out that the scientist who made the vibranium detecting device is actually a 19-year-old black girl. That's Riri Williams, Ironheart. And speaking of Riri Williams, I did not like her in this movie. She was annoying as hell. You know, every MCU movie has that comedic sidekick, the one who has all the goofy one-liners and bad jokes that they're notorious for. That's what she was. Shuri was the straight man, and Riri Williams was her goofy sidekick. And the thing that made her so annoying is that she could have been played by anyone. She really didn't have to be in the movie. So anyway, Ramonda sends Okoye and Shuri to Boston, get Riri and bring her back to Wakanda because she's in danger. Why she would be in danger, I don't know. because it's not like the Telecons even know who she is. So they find her at MIT and they convince her to come back home with them. But in the process of doing that, Namor's people, the Telecons, attack, and they are there to kill Riri. Oh.
So the story gets weirder and more confusing by the minute. But also that black girl who's supposedly the Ironheart, I heard that she has a deal with Disney now. There's like a series coming out of some of her content. So I guess this movie is kind of somewhat of an introduction or a promotion of her, some of the contents that Disney is going to use her for. And also it's just the idea of this young black girl with the brain of a scientist and I guess what you would refer to as a Tony Stark from the Iron Man, just having those abilities to do things in ways that are like, I will say, impossible for an average black girl to do. Although it feels good in a movie from a movie's perspective, but it doesn't always work like that in real life, is it? Even the average man can't do these things without serious education and really putting in the work. But nevertheless, there's a lot of stuff here that I'm seeing that are so unrealistic, to a large degree, I will say unattractive to me. But hey, you might think differently, and I respect your view for that. Let's keep going.
Okay, but why didn't they do that in the first place? If the Telecons had the ability to find out where Riri was and kill her themselves, why didn't they do that themselves? How could they even find her? At first I thought, well, okay, well maybe they were spying on the Wakandans and they followed them to Massachusetts, and that's how they found out where Riri was. But no, that doesn't make sense, because the Wakandans get from place to place by flying. And the Telecons, the blue people, Namor's people, they are people of the sea. They wouldn't be able to track an airplane or a ship in the sky. And on top of that, they use primitive weapons. They use spears to fight with, spears and water bombs. They ride around on whales and orcas. You don't see them using any technology, but all during the movie, you see them kicking the butt of the Wakandan soldiers. That's another thing that bothered me. Wakanda is supposed to be the most technologically advanced society on the planet, but you see them getting destroyed by blue mermaids with spears and water bombs. It made no sense. So anyway, they were able to overpower Okoye and kidnap Riri Williams and Shuri. Okay, now think about that for a minute. The woman that they came to kill, Riri Williams.
Is it a little bit weird to you that, again, this is not an attack on women. I said this before, I don't want to keep saying this, but when you think of Black Panther and you see a woman playing that role, doesn't it feel a little bit weird though? Like, it's like, that's not exactly how things were. You know, it's like one of those things. You know, it's a shift in my thinking. I know it's a shift in many of us who are watching the movie. We're like, but still, I'm like, it's not how it was, though. You know. Nevertheless, I just don't see Black Panther as a woman in that sense. You know, it's different when you see, like, you know, Iron Man and his girl or his wife kind of like have her own suit and things. That's nice because Iron Man still exists and doing his thing. But in this case here, you have a woman who totally replaced Black Panther. And it's like, heartbreak.
They have her in their custody, but instead of killing her, they kidnap her. Why? And if all they wanted was to kill Riri, why did they even bother taking Shuri hostage? That made no sense. And again, why get the Wakandans involved in this entire mess? The Telecons killed the miners that were looking for the vibranium, and the US government thinks it was the Wakandans that did it, because they don't know the Telecons exist. So the Telecons could have just sat back and watched the Wakandans get all the blame. Then you have the whole thing with Shuri becoming Black Panther.
I am woman, hear me roar, in numbers too big to ignore.
Now, I said earlier in my first review that feminism was very present in this movie, but it was subtle. And I said that in the context of other projects that were done by Disney and the MCU. And what I mean is that even though feminism was present, they weren't aggressively cramming it down your throat. It wasn't overt like it was in She-Hulk and Captain Marvel.
When I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me.
Where there was a constant hatred of men in every turn. You saw women that were smarter than men. You saw women that were dominating men, but you didn't see the hatred of men.
Well, that's exactly what feminism is. Well, the modern feminists today have the hatred of men, but I think it's even more dangerous this way because it's subtle. It's a subtle thing, you know. So even when you portray it this way, it's still feminism. It's just like, I think it's more deceptive if you were to ask me. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you're mixing it now with a little bit of orange juice. You know, it's still poison. If you drink poison, you could have the whole bottle of poison, which is even more deadly. But if you have you take a little bit of poison, you mix it with orange juice, it's a slow kill, but you can get a lot more people to drink it, you know. So yeah, like while the average person will not drink a whole thing that says poison on it, you know, with a skull and crossbones saying it's poison, if you drink this you're gonna die, you're like, very few people will ever drink that unless you're suicidal. But when you mix it with a little bit of orange juice, I think a lot of people will say, oh, that must be orange juice, let me drink it, and then boom. And I think that's kind of what they've done here by water down the feminist stuff a little bit. It makes it more plausible for a lot of people to accept it as decent, and that actually achieves the goal in the more effective way from my perspective.
I said the feminism in this movie was passive. However, everything stepped up when Shuri became the Black Panther. And that all started when Nakia came to rescue Shuri and Riri Williams from the Talokans. In the process of doing that, she killed one of the guards that was holding them hostage. Now, when Namor finds out that they escaped and one of his guards were killed, he really didn't want to do anything, but it was some female member of his group that kind of coaxed him into doing it. And that's a theme in this movie. Of the few men that are in this film, all of them are being manipulated by the women around them. More on that in a moment. Martin Freeman was also in the film, and he was reprising his role as Agent Ross. And he was a complete and total Muppet in the movie. Agent Valentina Allegra, who was played by Julie Louis-Dreyfus, reprised her role in the film as well. She was also in Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Hawkeye. She played his ex-wife. And at every turn, she was bossing and emasculating him in every way that she wanted. And
as unfortunately many homes and many relationships and marriages are today, yeah, that's exactly how they are. I'm not saying this might be true for your case. I don't think it is. But in many homes, that's how a lot of women behave. It's bad. It's not gonna work.
He wasn't being castrated by her, then he was being bossed around by the ladies of Wakanda. So Namor and a few of his henchmen go to Wakanda to avenge the guard that was killed. And during their attack, Queen Ramonda is assassinated by Namor. And that's what leads to Shuri becoming the Black Panther. So if you remember in the first movie, whenever someone becomes the Black Panther, they have to drink the liquid that is derived from the heart-shaped herb. Mm-hmm. And when they do that, they kind of fall unconscious and they go to the ancestral plane where they see their ancestors and kings of the past. But when Shuri went back, she didn't see T'Challa. She didn't see her father, nor did she see her grandfather or any other past kings of Wakanda. She saw Killmonger. That's right, Michael B. Jordan reprises his role. And he tells Shuri that you're not like your father, you're not like your brother, you're angry, you're like me. I get things done. I'm the type of king you should be like. At first she rejects it, but then she accepts it. So when she wakes up as a completely different person. In her masculine mindset, she's angry and vengeful. So when she puts on the Black Panther suit, the first thing she goes to do is to run and emasculate M'Baku, who's having a meeting amongst the council. She challenges him to an arm wrestling match, where she of course beats him. Then they have a discussion about what they're gonna do about the Talokans. And of course Shuri, being full of rage, being full of masculinity, acting just like Killmonger, says we need to go to war.
And that's also a misrepresentation of a lot of men. they like to make it appear that being masculine men, we are full of rage, dominant, and it's like that's actually not true for most men. You know, most of us, we just, at least for myself, I can speak, is just, we just want to live life, pay our bills, love our wives, and love our children. That's it. For me, I'm like, give me my church, give me my family, and give me my education and my YouTube channel. I'm very happy. I don't know. Yeah, it's just, even those representation of men is incorrect. We're not a bunch of angry, revengeful. Being masculine doesn't mean we are out to get people and destroy lives. You know, I think a good person who did what's her name? Candace Owens. So listen to Candace Owens' take on masculinity, and she explains it really, really well. And I think this attack on manhood is actually not fair to society. And a lot of women may think this is good for us. We are now on top. I'm like, you're not ready to live in a society where the men are gone. You're not ready for that. Your own existence is at risk. You gotta be careful with this mentality. But let's listen to this. This is Candace Owens.
If I could pick every single day, I would choose every single day to be a woman. Again, I mean, like, I do not want to be a man. The men are out there fighting the wars. They're the ones falling off of roofs and dying. And nobody, there's like a meme on the internet that says, nobody calls a feminist when there's an emergency. Like, and seeing this. Let me restart that. Nobody calls a feminist when there's an emergency. All right. And that is acting up, so let me restart that. Okay. If I could pick every single day, I would choose every single day to be a woman. Again, I mean, like, I do not want to be a man. The men are out there fighting the wars. They're the ones falling off of roofs and dying. And nobody, there's like a meme on the internet that says, nobody calls a feminist when there's an emergency. Like, and seeing this anti-masculinity is bad. No, masculinity is great. I love masculinity.
I do too.
I need a shirt that just says, I love masculinity. It's great.
I love men who love women.
Right.
A lot of men don't. A lot of women don't like women either. There's some truth.
And there is some truth, but unfortunately, when you are starting to conflate masculinity with rape, which is what's happening now. Like, if you're masculine, then you're a predator. No, masculinity is the opposite of femininity, and I like being feminine, and men should like being masculine.
That's right.
And it's symbiotic, and it's beautiful, and it's now being corrupted by this whole myth of like the white privileged male predator who's masculine. Right? It's a horrible time to be a white male. If I could pick.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There goes a woman who actually gets it. It's not that difficult. We don't have to kill each other. We are in this thing together, man. Life is rough enough. Stop dividing the sexes. God made them male and female for a reason. But society say divide, fight, conquer each other. It's like, no. That's the devil's doctrine.
M'Baku disagrees, so she dismisses everybody from the council and punks him, basically calling him a coward for not wanting to go to war. And he submits and does what she asks. So all three men in this movie, Ross, Namor, and M'Baku, are being controlled by women. Now keep in mind, Shuri is about 95 pounds. She's no warlord, nor is she a tactician, but she declares war on Talokan, on Namor, as if she knows what she's doing. And so her and Namor have this one-on-one battle. And even though she's small and has limited experience, she's able to go toe-to-toe with him. Namor, a warrior with 500 years experience, is struggling against a 95-pound scientist.
Oh, Lord. You talking about a deception. I mean, they could not have told this slide any better than this. How unrealistic was that? I am so not going to watch this movie. That's for sure. Oh my Lord. yeah, that's how I feel. Like, yeah, give me a break. That's gonna be a good thumbnail picture.
But he gets the upper hand. He drives a vibranium spear through her torso, pinning her to a boulder, and then he begins to stumble and walk away and get back to the sea. But Shuri somehow pulls the spear out of her torso with no blood. Then she runs Namor down, flips and does a somersault over his head, gets him to the ground and forces him to submit.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
Now think about that, especially those of you who saw the first movie. If you remember, Killmonger died when he was impaled with a vibranium spear. But somehow, not only does Shuri survive, she's able to keep fighting and wins. Trust me when I tell you, the feminist plot armor was hella thick in this film. I could go for hours pointing out everything wrong with this movie, but those are some of the major issues that I had. Now, in the first review, I gave it a 5 out of 10, and I still stand by that review. I do think it was a very well done movie. My issue was the script. The story was stupid. In one regard, it reminds me a lot of that Amazon show, Rings of Power, where they spent $1 billion on the first season. That show was also very well produced, but I said it was a turd covered in glitter. It looked great, but there was nothing good on the inside. And that's the way I feel about Wakanda Forever. It was very well executed, but it was a terrible story. So that's all I have to say about it. I'd love to hear your opinion. If you like this video,
Yeah, like and subscribe, man. This guy has done his work. I'm subscribing to you, my friend. And I'm also going to share your content with my subscribers. Not bad. Great review of not a very impressive movie. I mean, whenever you put your feminist stuff in there and you elevate women above men, a lot of men like myself are gonna be like, I'm not interested. That's not how God did it. Stop separating the sexes. You know, we keep waging wars among races, among gender, among people who are fat, among, you know, it's just all this division in our society. It's actually sickening when really we were created by God to love and care for one another. But it's like the devil has infiltrated everything. And it's repulsive, unattractive. And Black Panther doesn't impress me for what they've done. And I'm not saying you shouldn't watch it. I think you should. I mean, I'm still thinking about checking it out just for the purpose to see what's really going on as far as graphic is concerned. But I know I'm going to have that distaste. I mean, I'm already one of those guys who can pick up on those things. And I'm like, So when I have those spots, sometimes I turn it off and be like, oh, enough. But I'm really not that interested in watching it. Maybe if it's free or something. Yeah. I have Netflix for free and I have Prime Video and something like that. So if that comes out on there for free, yeah, fine. Go on to the movie theater with family and friends to watch that. Nah, not interested. But to each his own. You make your own decision. Man, I'll tell you, it's time for. There is hope though. With all this feminist stuff, I'm gonna show you that there is hope. Last time I spoke about how God says that women are going to rule over their men, and it's already happening. But there's a message the Bible refers to as the Elijah's message. The Bible says, I will send you Elijah. This is Malachi 4, verses 5 and 6. 4, 5, 6. Easy to remember. It tells you that I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to their children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Interesting. There's a message called the Elijah's message that God says, I'm gonna send this message in the final times, in the final days. And the purpose of this message is to fix the relationship between fathers and sons and fathers. And God says, I need to do this, or else this whole entire world will be cursed. And I thought about that. I said, what is that message? Well, we can't say much more about this message in particular. You have to study the life of Elijah and John the Baptist and Christ. If you combine the two, you get the Elijah's message. But to keep it simple for you, the Elijah's message is the gospel. And the gospel fixes the home. The gospel places God where he belongs. He places the family where it ought to be. The men takes on their role, and the women will take their role, and the children will fall in line. So a lot of the brokenness we see in our society, in our children, all these single parent at home and all the absentee fathers that are destroying particularly the black community and many others, God wants to fix it. And there is a message is at the heart of the gospel. That message is centered on the cross of Christ. That is what's going to fix the problem of our society. And I'm hoping every time you come to this channel, you're getting seed of this message in your mind and in your heart to make you a better person each and every day. Thank you so much for watching, friends. God bless you. Check out this review once again. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you enjoy the content. Until next time, and as always, remember to look unto Jesus, to live by faith. Have a good one. Bye.